Let's do this. We are going to talk about the positive snowball effect of going alcohol-free. And this is not just about changing your relationship with alcohol. This is about changing everything in your life. It's why I continually see the same story over and over through the millions of people that have come on this adventure with me, that changing your relationship with alcohol is the quickest way to change everything in your life in a positive way when you see it for what it is. So this is the secret sauce to unlock that momentum in your life. I'm bigging up today's episode in a big way, but it's true. This is going to be motivational razzmatazz that's going to get you excited about this adventure that you're on. And we're going to do this differently today. This is a clip of a live training that I deliver at 7:30 a.m. every Tuesday into our Dry Plus group. This is part of our broader Dry DIY community, the app that you can download, Dry New, wherever you get your apps from, and you can upgrade to Dry Plus, and in there you get these free trainings every single day. It's incredible. And I deliver the training on a Tuesday morning. This is a glimpse of that, which is cool. This is a game changer. You're going to love this one. And hopefully I'd like to get some feedback if you enjoy that type of podcast conversation, because there's definitely a different energy to it when it's delivered live. Before we begin, just a quick reminder, this episode is brought to you by Authentic Brew, our Mother Nature powered energy functional drink that's great for you, your family, and the planet, with 25% of all profits going to rewilding people and places. And it tastes amazing. It's the perfect substitute for alcohol if you're on this alcohol-free adventure. It's grown up, it's caffeine-free, alcohol-free, gluten-free, vegan-friendly, and it gives you this functional health lift. No compromise on quality. It's like a big cuddle from Mother Nature. Also, if you want to know more about what I do, and I'd love you to do this, go to andyramage.com. Go to courses, free courses. There's 2 free courses that you can take at your leisure. They're short courses, they're impactful courses. One is called the Alcohol-Free Advantage. Wherever you are on your alcohol-free journey, that is the course to take. These are like 10, 15 minutes long. Equally, the most important thing you can do on this alcohol-free adventure is use it as a platform to train your beautiful, brilliant brain. And that's ultimately what I've been doing for the last decade, is training brilliant brains. Brilliant brains to not need alcohol, and the same brilliant brain to create the life they've always wanted to lead. Go to andyramage.com, courses, free courses, pick the course that works for you. All right, let's get into today's conversation. Let's do this. All right, so here's where I want to go with this morning. I want to talk about this alcohol-free snowball effect. What is that? I keep banging on about the alcohol-free snowball effect. Well, it's this impact that I see continually on people's lives. And it goes a little bit like this. Someone comes along to this alcohol-free adventure and they're thinking about that alcohol-free adventure. But first, let's look at the negative alcohol snowball effect. We've all been there, haven't we, right? So let's just say it's that typical Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whatever that looks like for you. Could be a Tuesday evening, stressful day that ends in Y, celebration, commiseration, all the well-worn excuses we use to have a drink or two. And let's just say we approach that moment and we decide to have a drink. And we have 1 drink, which becomes 2. Right, don't forget, at 2 drinks, your prefrontal cortex gets shut down, the bit that makes you distinctly human. We have to remind ourselves of that. Really important to reconnect with that. The bit that 70,000 years ago we grew, divine intervention, genetic fluke, your choice, what you believe. But basically that stepped us above all the other animals in the animal kingdom. Not above, actually, that's not the right turn of phrase. It just made us different. We became conscious of being conscious, whereas the other animals are not. That's the only difference between us and the bees, the birds, the squirrels you'll see out your front door at the moment. We've completely lost contact with that, by the way. But we've got this prefrontal cortex bit to our brain that makes us distinctly human. We're conscious of being conscious, which has allowed us to do all these incredible things, invent all these amazing things, live this incredible life, and then worry endlessly about stuff that's never going to happen. Unlike the zebra. That's why zebras don't have ulcers. A brilliant book by Robert Zablosky. Why zebras don't get ulcers. Because they're not worried about stuff in the future all the time. If the lion shows up, they leg it, and then once the lion has got bored or run out of steam, they just happily go back to chewing the cud, as it were. Whereas we'd worry about that endlessly, forever and a day. But that's an aside. Let's come back to today. So we've got the prefrontal cortex. It's the bit that makes us a human. The bit that makes us a human. Remember that. The first thing that alcohol does when you drink it, it shuts down your prefrontal cortex. So you go back down that evolutionary chart. Why would we do that? Why would we do that? Going backwards. It's like literally, you can imagine that nice chart where there's that person at the end. It goes from an ape to someone wearing a tie. It's going back down that chart. I'm not doing that. Anyway, that's the first thing that happens. So at that point, 2 in, it's game over, right? Because the bit that controls your emotion and your behavior, your prefrontal cortex part of your brain, is temporarily damaged. That's what happens. It's offline, 2 drinks in. And then, of course, with that part of your brain slightly offline, it often becomes 3 drinks, right? And now you're really in trouble, right? Because now the fun's starting to dry up. And if you were to stop after 3 drinks, what would happen? Would you be more relaxed or a lot less? And one of the main reasons we turn to alcohol is to relax us. But if you actually stopped after 2, how do you feel? Rubbish, don't you? 10 minutes later, you're tired, groggy, grumpy. It's just like, meh, this is rubbish. So it doesn't relax us at all. In fact, it gives the illusion of relaxation, but it makes us more stressed the following day. And even if we were to stop relatively quickly after having just a couple of drinks, but now you're 3 in, right? 3 in, it's game time, right? And by the way, when I say 3, this could be 3 bottles of beer or 3 pints of lager or 3 glasses of wine. But if it's home measures, 1 glass could equal 3. You know how that works. Anyone that's ever drunk wine at home, it's like, the thing is just like these monster glasses. And we go, I've just had a glass of wine. Yeah, but there's about 8 glasses in your glass of wine. There's a whole bottle in your glass of wine. But anyway, back to the point. You're now 3 in, right? How are you feeling now? What do you do? Stop. If you stop, you're going to feel rubbish. Maybe I'll have 4 because that's the only thing that sort of makes me feel a little bit better. And then you carry on that little train to maybe 5. And then maybe you call it a night, right? And that's quite a moderate night, I'd say, for a lot of people, if it was 4-ish, smallish kind of drinks. But now you know what's going to happen. Maybe you get that craving for stodgy food. So on your way home, you go and get that kebab you'd never normally eat. No one's ever been in there sober, have they? That certain kebab shop, ever. No one ever walks in that shop sober. The only people that ever go in there are after a few drinks. Now you're in there eating absolute garbage, like the worst of the worst, right? It's all over your mush and everything, it's like, and then you're home. Sleep gets destroyed. We know it does, right? So the quality of your sleep is going to be impacted in a massively negative way now because you've had those few drinks or whatever it looks like. Even if you're sitting at home, you go upstairs and boom, you're out like a light though. And you're like, oh, that's a result. Straight to sleep because your beautiful brain has been sedated. It's not natural sleep that you've just drifted off into. You've been knocked out effectively by the drug that is alcohol, sedated your beautiful brain. The researchers are not even calling it sleep. They're calling it alcohol-induced sedation. And what happens then is you don't recover or replenish properly because you don't get into those deep layers of sleep. You lose about 40% of your REM sleep. So you wake up, even though you've been technically knocked out, you wake up feeling awful. We've all been there, haven't we? Technically, we're in bed for those 6 hours, 8 hours, whatever it looks like. And we wake up and we are in pieces because we haven't slept. And the reason we haven't slept is because your beautiful body and brain is trying desperately to get rid of this toxin, this poison that you've just put in your body. And then you wake up, now you're really on the back foot. Tired, grumpy, anxious because your neurochemistry's just been busted apart by alcohol, and maybe you're overstimulated on the neurotransmitter that is glutamate. Glutamate's the yin to GABA's yang. When we first drink alcohol, that relaxation feeling is the overstimulation of GABA, which relaxes and calms the system. And we go, oh, that's quite nice, I'll do more of that. But we forget our beautiful brain is trying to maintain equilibrium, is pumping all this extra glutamate against it at the same time to balance it out, so that you can have a bit of balance in that beautiful brain. But then what happens when you start to sober up or you go to sleep? Sometimes the GABA flushes out the system quicker than the glutamate, so pings back the other way. Now you've got too much glutamate in your system when you wake up. That's the beer fear. That's why you're scared of your own shadow. You're on edge because glutamate excites the system. So if you have too much glutamate in your system, you seize, fit and die. That is extreme alcohol withdrawal that kills people, is when the ping back is so violent because they've been consuming alcohol for so long, so they're physically dependent on it, that their neurochemistry is completely altered. When it's ripped out suddenly, that ping back of glutamate is enough to kill people. It's absolutely nuts, isn't it? That's what you're experiencing that day after. What's your day look like then? I can tell you what it looks like. Rubbish. On every level. You're going to be rubbish at everything. Rubbish as a parent, rubbish at your career, rubbish at everything. Just as a fact. There's no dressing it up. It's going to be a slog. You're going to be trying to get through it all day long. Everything's going to be painful and drawn out. And all you're going to be saying to yourself all day, I can't wait for this day to end. Think about that. We only get about 4,000 weeks on this planet. And if you're 51-ish like myself, you're into like 1,700 odd. Imagine giving that up all the time to self-inflicted like drudgery. Come on. You're better than that. Anyway, so that flows forward. And then, of course, now you're feeling stressed and grumpy and tired and rubbish and energyless. And then you realise you've got that social event tonight. And the only way out of that hole is to have a drink again. Isn't it? Oh, the one thing that's going to make me feel a bit better is the one thing that just put me in that hole. I mean, it's the greatest trap ever, isn't it? When you think about it, that alcohol snowball negative effect. The one thing that put you in that hole in the first place is the one thing that appears to get you out, only you never get out, do you? You get sort of almost to the top and then you sober up and you slip all the way down, only this time you go a bit deeper. And then the only way out again is to try and have another drink again, and only this time you go a bit deeper, and so on and so forth. Decades go past. Overweight, unfit, unhappy, unfulfilled, stressed all the time, no time. Life feels like a slog. That, for me, is the negative alcohol effect. That's so true. I guarantee it. I described most people listening's relationship with alcohol right there, or variations of it. Imagine that. And then doing that for the rest of your life. What most people do. Now, let's flip the script. Let's go the other way. Let's go to the positive alcohol-free snowball. Let's have a little look at this. When someone's courageous enough to do something different, to not follow the crowd, because guess what? The crowd, and this is my biggest learning over the last 51 years, have it wrong. Wherever you see conventional wisdom, wherever you see a mass of people all go in one direction, here's a great secret. Turn around and go the other way. All the gold is going the other way. That is the courageous group that are alcohol free. The mass, the throng, the media, they want to push you one direction. And we're like, actually, I wonder what would happen if I don't do that thing that absolutely everyone else is doing and just sort of have a little wander this way to the alcohol free side of the island. I wonder what might happen then. And I'll tell you what happens then. And let me describe the alcohol free positive snowball effect. It goes a little bit like this. Rather than having that one drink that becomes two, becomes three, becomes four, you have a little alcohol-free alternative. Maybe you have one of those alcohol-free beers or whatever it might be, and you enjoy the sensation of feeling grown up and chilled and relaxed, and it seals the deal on a great day. You might find yourself out socially having even more fun because you're sharper, because your beautiful prefrontal cortex, the bit that makes you a human, is still online. So you've got all your wit, your dexterity of the mind to have the crack, C-R-A-I-C, Irish crack, and have the banter. You're enjoying yourself, you're smiling more. And then you stay on the alcohol-free alternatives because you're feeling really good. And then on the way home, you walk straight past that kebab shop and you think, no one's ever going in there. And you laugh at yourself and go, look at all that lot in there, smashing into those kebabs all over their mushes. Not going to be me tonight. You skip home feeling full power that you just went out socially, had a great time, but you didn't succumb to what everyone else was doing, drinking, because you know they're all going to be battered. They're going to be eating their kebabs, destroying their sleep, feeling terrible tomorrow. But you're not. You're walking home like a hero, loving life, connected, celebrated, commiserated, whatever it was. And then you arrive home and maybe you have a little cup of something before you go to bed. You drift off naturally to sleep. You replenish, you recover, you get the same amount of sleep. You wake up the next day. Then what happens? You bounce out of bed. You're excited about the day ahead. You've got a smile. You've got more confidence. You've just grown in resilience and strength because you did something quite challenging the night before, which was to not drink in a world that's awash with alcohol. You make your way to the office, but you stop on the way and you go to the gym because you've got the energy, the time to do so. You start to work out your body, you work out your mind. Maybe you start to read on the way into the train because you're not caught in that anxiety that's always just putting a lid on your life. You've got the time to exercise. You then eat nourishing food all day. You feel great. You look great. You show up like a hero in the office. You become the parent that you want to be. You start to snowball into everything else that you do in life. You become more resilient, more confident, you get more stuff done. You've got the time that you've always been moaning you never had to do the things that spark joy in your life. You start to smile more. Your beautiful brain starts to heal. The joy starts to come back into your life. Sunrises are a thing. Hugs are a thing. Your dopamine levels are back to neutral, so the dopamine spikes of the small joys are actually joyful. You're not living in a grey world, you're living in a technicolored world. You're getting more stuff done. You're starting to tell people that I am going to achieve these goals, and you achieve them. You run the marathons, you start the businesses, you create new relationships, you smile more. You enjoy this short and precious life more. And here's the best bit. Because you've done it once, you've done it again, you realise actually not following the crowd got me a different result. All the treasure was over there and everyone's over there. Therefore, you start to think differently, act differently, do things differently. Maybe you change your diet, maybe you change your career, maybe you retrain. Everything starts to change. You grow a new sense of resilience, more confidence. You go on this incredible adventure of learning and development, and then you wake up a year later and you look back on your life and you see old friends that are stuck in the same behaviours, doing the same things, and you smile to yourself. You feel a bit sad, but you smile to yourself that your life is fundamentally transformed from the courage to make that one change. What a gift. And then, this is the best bit, you start to realise that you're starting to inspire people around you, friends, loved ones, colleagues, are all starting to review their relationship with alcohol because they can see how amazing you look, how incredible you feel, the stuff that you're getting done, the goals that you're achieving, the smiles bounce back, and they want a bit of it. And all of a sudden you get that tap on the shoulder from a friend who says, I'm a couple of weeks alcohol free. All of a sudden you start to go into events and people are coming to you saying, I can't believe it, you look amazing, I've decided to go alcohol free. And then together collectively we go and change the world a little bit. How cool is that? And it all comes from that one change, which is to take a break from alcohol. Isn't it cool? And then we unleash the natural process of the alcohol-free snowball. And I know this is true because I've seen it over 10 years through hundreds of thousands of people consistently. It is like a superpower. It's the greatest gift. I never stop banging on about it because it's true. It's just true, isn't it? It's just easy to talk about because it's true. So hopefully that has kept you motivated to stay on the fun side of the island, or if you're thinking about it, you've got to come and join us on the back of that, haven't you? You've got to come and join us on the back of that. Top work, team. Hopefully you enjoyed the energy of that live training this morning. Do let me know, team@andyramage.com, your feedback. I'm just playing around, experimenting with this podcast, from interviews to me sharing some of my insights to a clip of me doing a live motivational training. Your feedback is always welcome. And don't forget to make sure, if you're still with me, to follow along wherever you are listening to your podcast from. And please share far and wide if you know anyone that might enjoy these conversations. And do go to andyramage.com and check out some of the free courses that I've left you there. Under courses, free courses, you can do my Alcohol Free Advantage course or the brain training course. Both are free, both are short, both are mega impactful. All you've got to do is go to andyramage.com. Until next time, keep being an absolute legend. Your coach, Andy.